Hi and welcome to today's bonus example. In yesterday's bonus example, we worked on this code. So if you haven't seen that video yet, please do so, because that video is related to this one. In a nutshell, what we did is we asked the user to enter feet and inches, so we got that as a string here, and then this convert function extracted the numbers from that string. So if the user entered 312, for example, we extracted 3 and 12 and we converted them into floats here and there, and we calculated meters out of those two numbers. So 3 and 12, we multiplied that by that number and that by that, and we got meters. So this was good to return a number instead of a string, where you had meters inside the string and you had some other information here, text. So that was not good because we couldn't use that output in other parts of the codes as we do here. So here we want to compare that meters with some other value. So it's good to decouple your output. The problem this brought about was that now what if we wanted to print out the feed value that the user entered? So feed, we cannot access that value from that function because that feed is a local variable. So we cannot say that, and same for inches, is equal to. We can get meters because meters is the output. So when we return a variable, a local variable, that variable can be accessed through the function call. So that's okay, we can access results. But how do we access feet and inches? Well, the problem lies again in decoupling. Today we're going to talk about decoupling functions. Yesterday we talked about decoupling output. Now this function is doing too much. It's doing two things. First, it is parsing that string, so the user enters feet and inches, and the function is splitting it, and then it's extracting numbers from that string, and then it converts those two numbers into meters. However, the name of the function is convert, so this function is doing too much. Functions should do one thing and do it well. So the solution here is decoupling, and the way we do decoupling here is by creating two different functions. Let's call this parse or extract, whatever we like. So parse and feet inches goes as the input of this parse function, and then this code goes in here. So we get parts, we say feet inches split, feet is converted into float, inches is converted into float as well, and then we return those two numbers. So we make these two numbers basically available to be accessed from the other components of the script. You can say feet and inches. So if I demonstrate you what I'm doing here, this should work like this. Let me paste this function here in the Python console. So parse, if we call it and we say for 12 and we press enter, what we get in return is a tuple with these two values. So when you return two variables there, what you get in return is not one value but two values enclosed in a tuple. So if you check the type of that value, it's going to be a tuple, you see. Or what you could do if you want to improve that even further, you could use a dictionary. You could say feet is feet and inches is inches. You remember that with dictionaries we have pairs of keys and values. So the key here is the string, its value is the number that the variable feet contains. Then we have another pair of key and value. So if I get this function now, I define it in here in the console, execute it, and then call it parse for 12. What we get is a dictionary. So now we have feet, and that's the value of feet, and that's the value of inches. So that's a dictionary, which means you can access that value by providing here the name of its key, feet, as a string, and it gives you 4.0. And you can do the same for inches. 12.0. So going back to the program, in the f string here, we could say, to get feet, we say parse, you call parse with feet and inches inside and then access feed from that. Or even better, you could get that expression and do that outside. And you say parsed is that. So that should give you the dictionary as you saw here. So that gives the dictionary, right? And then in here you say parsed and you extract feed. You need to use single quotes here since you have used double quotes outside the string. So for that string, use single quotes. So again, that returns a dictionary, and that extracts that feed value from the dictionary. Same we do for inches, parsed inches, and that is equal to result. So result comes from convert. Now convert, we need to work on this function as well. Convert now shouldn't be getting a string. It should get the units to convert, which is feet and inches. So it should get these as numbers and it shouldn't be doing any conversion from string to float. Just get numbers, return numbers. So here in convert then we say parsed feed to pass the feed value. The problem is this is highlighted in red. It says that this variable has not been defined. So this variable should be defined before it's used here. We are using it here, but we haven't defined it in this part. Therefore, I just cut this from there and paste it up here. So we first get the feet and inches, and then we pass those feet and inches in here. Convert again inches. Make a break line there, and that's the codes finally. Let's run it. Feet and inches, 311. And let's see, we've got an error. Bonus 13, line 17, which is in here. It says that function is not subscriptable. Yeah, so here I did convert. I should have done parsed. Let's run again. 310. Press enter. 3 feet and 10 inches is equal to 116. Kid can use the slide because the kid is higher than 1 meter. So that's how it should be working. That's a complete code. So again, to wrap it up, we get a string here and we want a function which does parsing of that string. We want to extract the numbers from that string, so it's better to have that parsing inside one single function. So functions that way are decoupled. And that solves the problem, as I explained to you, that solves the problem of being able to access those things from that function. So we access those things and we use them in this f string here. And then the other function just does the conversion, and then we call that first function in here, in this line, parse feet inches. We pass that string as input, we get that dictionary as output, and then in here we use the feet value from that dictionary and the inches value from that dictionary to supply them to the convert function, which gets these two numbers. So those two numbers are converted into meters. Meters is returned here, therefore it is stored in result, and then we construct this f string, and then in this if else conditional we check if the result, if meters, is less than 1, and we print out different messages depending on that. So decouple your functions and decouple your output as well. And before I close this video, I cannot resist without making an analogy again with the cafe ordering example to illustrate your decoupling in another way. So when you go to the cafe and you order it to the barista, then the barista will give you the coffee. They will not put sugar inside the coffee or milk, but they may have a separate place there where you can go and put the sugar or the milk to your coffee. So they are decoupling the output. They don't want to give you the coffee plus the sugar inside, so then the coffee might not be usable. The same thing we did here. We return the number only, not the number with some extras on top of it, which can be unusable for other components in the program. So that's about decoupling output. Now decoupling functions, how it works. In a goods cafe, you do the order to the barista, but then you pay the money to the cashier. So the cashier processes the payment and the barista processes the coffee. So here they have two functions, each of them does something and does it good. Well, that at least happens in efficient cafes. So if you want to create quality programs, you also want to decouple your functions. That's what I have for this lecture. I hope it makes sense, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks.